Following the global financial crisis of 2008, economists have had a spectacular fall from grace. I'm John Andrews, and I'm going to be talking today with Paola Subacchi. She's a Senior Research Fellow in International Economics at Chatham House, the Royal Institute of International Affairs. And we'll be talking about the crisis in her profession as we ride around London in a cab. Paola, thank you very much for being with me in this cab.
Wow, that's great.
Now, we're supposed to talk about economics, and you are a well-known economist, and you're at the Royal Institute of International Affairs, Chatham House. Now, your colleagues famously failed to predict the global financial crisis, and I seem to remember that the Queen Elizabeth, asked them why not. Now, I don't remember what their answer was. What's yours?
Well, I don't want to have any responsibility for predicting or not predicting the next crisis. The thing was, I think it was a very complex answer that came out in several papers, because I think people who were asked the question were set aback.
And economists can always make things complex.
Yes, exactly. And one of the problems is probably economics is too complex, and we need to go back to the essentiality of economics and really focus on what is economics, and in particular the fact that economics has to do with the real world, the world we are in, and unfortunately we made it too difficult to abstract in order to partly comply with academic.
I mean, did it become too mathematically based?
We are actually, but the thing is, maths is a very important tool.
Sure.
It should be used, but it shouldn't become the tool shouldn't become the purpose of analysis, right? Yeah. And that was exactly what it is. And if you think back at the global financial crisis, one of the problems was that this beautiful model didn't include the financial sector, which is actually essential in our economy. So, and how can you actually have a tool which reflects the real world if you forget to put an importance?
But I mean, one of the criticisms of the financial sector was that so many of the quants and other, the derivatives traders and so on, they were dealing with products that even their bosses didn't understand. Now, do economists understand that as well, or not?
I'm not sure about that. Yeah. I'm not sure anybody could understand those products. The thing is, again, there was the fallacy here was that the idea that by making financial products more complex, you could actually slice the risk and spread it among different products. Actually, risk doesn't work like that. So in reality, what happened, the risk was somehow leveraged by spreading around the system. And again, 10 years ago, there was this idea that, oh yes, we've got these products, there are a lot of different things in it. We put a lot of different, we put the subprime mortgages, we put all sorts of products, but we actually made the risk less
And
difficult.
was there a sort of phenomenon of musical chairs, where as long as you get rid of the products onto someone else, you could postpone your own downfall?
Well, there was money to be made in the market, and that was very clear. And I think it was the head of City who said very clear, until the music goes on, we need to play, we need to dance, and we need to stop and get the chair as exactly the musical chair game.
And I mean, how do you factor that into economics?
Oh, this is really is behavioral. I don't know how you factor in. And the thing is, again, there is somehow a disconnect between the real world, where people actually, again, one of the, if you like, assumptions in economics is that people are driven by profit, and you do not do anything by goodwill, but because you make your own profit. So, but how we can actually factor in into the process the fact that people stay in the game, and the risk goes up because profit, and obviously the risk goes up, therefore profit goes up.
But there was always this assumption. I say always. I mean, there was for a long time the assumption that man was a rational economic being, and I think behavioral economists have rather disproved that.
Absolutely.
Why did we hold on to the idea of that we were rational?
It is easy. You can model that very easily, right? And when you start to introduce all the variables that in the human behavior, like different preferences, different attitude, different things, and then how can you model? You can't. So that's very simple.
Paola, thank you very much indeed. Pleasure talking to you.